Guys, first and foremost, a big welcome to everybody here. A huge thank you for your time. I'm here today to teach you one thing, right? To give you a complete introduction to AI, right from a beginner's perspective as well. Right? We've seen AI kind of take over various parts of everything right now. But there's very rare videos actually explaining what it is using essentially non-technical jargon. I'm here to hopefully help you within that realm. So if you're a complete beginner regarding AI or just curious itself, this is your ultimate starting point. We're going to go ahead, cover some key fundamentals of AI, and walk through all the various features. Right, so of which we have essentially the kind of agenda for today, right? So first and foremost, we're going to break down what exactly is AI, right? And once again, using non-technical jargon. My aim is to simplify these concepts for you. The aim of this is really kind of start thinking and build up the knowledge of essentially what AI is and then move on forward, right? So firstly, what is AI? Then the key features of AI, exactly what makes it AI. All right, we've heard the term AI. What does it actually mean? All right. Finally, how AI is developed. When I say AI in this element, how AI products are developed as we speak. Right. We're going to see exactly and break that down. Then essentially the main types of AI. Right. What are the categorizations of AI right now? But then more importantly, from these main types, what are real and what are hypothetical? Right. What are the actually available types of AI we can use currently in the market right now? More importantly, then we're going to understand AI products in use. So we've learned, for example, at the start how to develop AI products. Then we're going to use essentially how we use these AI products, right? Before finally rounding off with kind of a real life example, or we're going to have a scenario that's kind of open to all, and we're going to look at kind of a AI versus a non-AI approach as part of that whole piece. Okay, so let's crack on ahead. Right, and then just before we do that, guys, right, who actually am I and why are you hearing this video from me? So, hi guys, I'm Lay Giraffe. I've been working in the big tech and enterprise software space now for 7 years, right? From this space, I kind of specialize mainly in two main areas, right? AI and Salesforce, in which I'm 19 times certified in Salesforce, but the way kind of it's gone everything with AI, I now work in the AI space and Salesforce as well, right? So that being said, my current actual job is I work as an AI technical architect. That's my 9 to 5, right? This itself is to kind of help you learn. More importantly, I've been an early adopter of ChatGPT and LLMs, the generative AI side that we're going to learn a bit more later down the course, since the start, since it kind of went completely mainstream, essentially in 2022, 2023. I was very kind of fastly on it. But more importantly, then, that made me realize kind of with all of this brand new technology, I'm here to help you for one reason, right? It's my way of giving back everything I've learned within the industry, but more importantly, help you accelerate your learnings within the career of technology itself, right? Which has been very fruitful for me. All right, guys. So, with that being said, let's actually get started, right? So, first and foremost, right, what actually is AI? Now, when it comes to this, I like to break it down. First and foremost, right, look at the actual word, what it says. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, right? The best way to think about this, how I think about it is it's the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think in four main ways, right? And those ways are we're teaching the machine to think, reason, learn, as well as act. Autonomously, meaning by itself, or semi-autonomously, right? Or by with the assistance from us as humans. But more importantly, that's all it is, right? So with everything you see AI, all this other stuff, all it means simply you are trying to simulate human intelligence within machines to make sure it can essentially go ahead and perform like a human just with the capabilities of a machine. So 10 times kind of faster and more efficient, stuff like that, right? Now, there's some key features of AI. And once again, always go back to that human analogy when it comes to this part of this. Meaning, the first part, AI, we're trying to teach it perception, right? It's the ability to process inputs like images, audio, or text. Think of how we essentially, the minute we see something using our eyes, right? We're able to gather if it's an image, if it's an audio, if it's text, right? We're trying to get AI to do the same thing, right? Simulate that human intelligence. Secondly, reasoning, right? Humans are very, very good itself at solving problems, right? And making decisions. We're trying to make AI do the same thing by itself, right? Artificial intelligence. Can we go ahead and actually try teach the actual artificial intelligence to solve problems by itself of different various categories of which we will cover? and as well as make its own decisions, right? Either autonomously, aka by themselves, or semi-autonomously, where we help just a slight bit, right? But then more importantly, right, think of us as kind of kids the way we grow up. The aim of life itself, right, is to essentially improve over time and learn, right? So we also want AI over time to get better and better and better. And that's what we refer to as learning. We want the AI to actually go ahead and improve its performance in solving problems over time, right? Finally, adaptability. As humans, we kind of, this whole massive world that we live in itself, right, is very unpredictable. Can AI go ahead and start to also work with unpredictable or dynamic scenarios that maybe we haven't taught it exactly what it is, but using the same way we as humans learn, it's able to kind of reason out based off kind of what this is, what kind of input this is, and it's similar to this area. Can it go ahead and actually execute and work with unpredictable or dynamic scenarios as well, right? Similar to humans, right? So these four key features is the best way I think of it. Most importantly, like I said, to simulate that human intelligence. If you look at all these four main points, it's we humans have it as well. We perceive, we reason, we learn, as well as we adapt, right? Right. And then with that being said, that really brings us to our next point, right? Where we're going to look at essentially now, with all of these key features, what actually goes into composing an AI product, right? When you see these AI products, what are they actually made from? And what's the process of that? It consists of three main components, of which the first one is data, right? And we're going to look into each of this in its detail, right? So the first part, how AI is developed, is data itself. Secondly, the second main ingredient essentially is algorithms, right? We're going to look into the algorithms too. And then finally, automation. And then these cohesively working together is how you get your essentially these cool AI products that we're seeing right now, right? Fundamentally, it's three main things simply: data, algorithms, and automation, right? So let's go ahead and look at each of this in a bit more detail, starting with number one, right? Let's look at what data actually means, right? So data is the information that we give to the AI that we want it to learn from, right? AKA the knowledge. Now, this may sound somewhat even technical. It's hard to kind of think in an abstract manner. The best way to think about it is think of data as the fuel for AI, but more importantly, from a human analogy perspective, because why? Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence in machines, right? Think of the way that we learn as humans, right? Using books, using lessons in class, experiences, right? All of this is how we teach essentially a human, right? Without it, we can't learn or grow. Think of data as the same thing, that we feed this to the AI because we want it to learn from this. But then more importantly, the examples. So think of anything: photos, numbers, text, sounds, videos. We're trying to give different AI as much data as possible so it can go ahead, comprehend what these photos mean, these numbers, this text, to make sure then from this it's able to then go ahead and learn. Nicely to the next topic of the second component is algorithms. When you ask it, how does it actually learn, right? The magic and the secret sauce behind all this AI that now essentially happens in a completely black box manner that you don't essentially have to care about, just does it for you by itself, is the algorithms. And algorithms essentially are the rules and instructions that the AI has to follow to solve the different problems, right? This is how it essentially, we teach it how to learn, perceive, and adapt, right? Now, think of this once again to that human analogy perspective. Think of the rules that we teach a human, right? How to solve problems, how to solve faces, how to adapt to new situations, right? Why does a child, you want to make sure it doesn't put its hand in fire, right? Stuff like this. You give it rules to make sure this is right, this is wrong. The same way, the fancy word for all of this, it's an algorithm, right? Step-by-step instructions to make sure that we help the actual AI itself learn and make sense of the inputs that we gave it, aka the information in the first step, right? The data. Finally, think of kind of a great example: spam email, right? An example of an algorithm is we can essentially use AI to decide, or kind of use these algorithms just to help AI decide if the email is spam or not, right? How do we know straight away email is spam? We as humans are able to kind of see first and foremost the fact that it looks a bit off, the punctuation is a bit off, it just looks a bit too spammy itself, as you can see here. The same way we can kind of like set up rules for this to make sure then If we give AI any kind of examples of spam emails, it's able to say, okay, this is spam, this is not spam. Okay? Finally, this brings us nicely to our third point, which is automation, right? This is the final step in AI itself, right? Where we want to make the machine itself execute all of these tasks without human help, right? Automate it completely. And this is basically where we teach the AI and expect from it reasoning, where it can make the decisions itself, right? We've given it the inputs, we've given it the data, we've given it essentially the algorithms. Can you now then go ahead and learn from this to make the decision? But then more importantly, AI, right? Can you execute it itself? Can you operate by your own? The best way to think of it like this, right? Think of how essentially we as humans learn to tie our own shoes, right? Or pack our bags. We got it taught a few times by our parents, but then more importantly, we didn't have to get it taught every single time, right? We can go ahead and kind of now do it without constant guidance. That's what we want AI to also do at the final step of, can you go ahead and automate everything that I've gone ahead and basically taught you, right? Now, more importantly, think of examples, right? Chatbots answering questions, where chatbots previously used to be agents. Now chatbots can just simply go ahead and answer the various questions that you may want. Self-driving cars, we've seen that as well. In San Fran, for example, you have companies that are fully autonomous driving vehicles, or even small things like recommendation systems that may not seem like AI, but think about when you watch a movie on Netflix, right? How does it know straight away of, if you've seen this movie, we want to go ahead and recommend you the following movie which are like this? Behind the scenes, it's all AI at work, right? Now, putting it all together, right? So we start with the data. What is that? It's the training, it's the knowledge. We're feeding it to the actual AI itself. Listen, you're going to learn from this trained data. Okay, this is how you're going to learn. This is what I'm going to give it to you. Then it goes ahead and kind of then applies the algorithms in this for the actual data that we give it. And these algorithms are the machine learning algorithms, right? You see the fancy term machine learning. All it simply means is you're teaching the data inputs that you've given it how to perceive, learn, and adapt to various different situations, right? But then more importantly, at the end of this, the automation piece. So then we've given it the data, like I said, we've given it these various capabilities to go ahead and apply the algorithms to learn. Finally, then can you go ahead, reason and execute for me as well, right? And at the end of this, what you have now is a product with artificial intelligence. And what that simply means is you should have hopefully simulated human intelligence in a machine, right? Once again, how do we as humans learn? We read books, we read lessons, we read all these various different texts, right? We have experiences. That's data points, right? We data points, we absorb it, we apply the algorithms we're taught by teachers, by different things to make sure we understand it. And then finally, we just go and execute whatever we want. The same things we're trying to apply the human intelligence piece within the machines itself. Okay? Now, with that being said, it doesn't stop there, because then we have to look at kind of everything we learned was how to build an AI product, right? That's how all AI products, the fundamental basis, data, algorithms, and then finally automation, right? But then more importantly, how can we use this AI product? Before we look at that, it's also very important to understand these AI products, the way that they are developed, they can be of different types, okay? Of which there are three main types of AI. Okay, the first one being narrow AI. And what that simply means is AI specializes in specific tasks, right? Extremely well, but the key part, it cannot do anything outside its programmed or trained purpose. That's very, very key right there, right? It cannot do anything outside of its programmed, trained, or purpose. Meaning, say for example, the data set that we gave to AI was a picture of dogs. And then you go ahead and ask the AI, you give it a cat picture. You ask it, what is this? It does not know what it is, because why? We've given it the data set of dogs only. It doesn't know of, okay, this is not a dog. So we have to make sure that the narrow, it's that. Of anything that we haven't essentially programmed or trained it to do, it cannot do. Okay, that's narrow AI. Secondly, general AI, right? What is this? So AI that can think, learn, adapt across multiple tasks like a human, but more importantly now, without the additional programming, right? Very key concept and very different to narrow AI. Why? Now, the best example for this, right? Think of a robot that can play chess, write poetry, diagnose diseases, and solve engineering problems without training in each prior area. Right? It's doing all of this by itself, right? Without even the data piece itself. It's simply go ahead, it can think, learn, adapt across multiple domains without us having to explicitly ask it to, right? A very kind of futuristic concept, but that's general AI. And the specific difference between this and narrow is in narrow, we specifically program it to do everything. If the algorithms don't exist for it to learn from essentially what the data is, it will not give you the right output. Okay? Now, finally, super AI. And for this, it's best kind of just showcased in pictures. We've all seen Terminator, right? That famous movie with Arnold in. Now, within that, AI, which is capable of independent thought, creativity, decision making, but then more importantly, right, the more scary part, it can potentially outperform humans in every intellectual and creative task, right? Terminator starts to operate completely on his own, and it goes ahead and does some very bad things, right? That's like a crazy example experience, but the thing is, there's an element of it which is also a bit of truth if AI finally gets to that position. And on that note itself, right? So from these three main types, which one is real and which one is actually hypothetical, even with the kind of rise of ChatGPT and Gen AI, all this other stuff. So narrow AI is real, right? That's what we have today. And we're going to get into the actual kind of two different types of narrow AI. But then more importantly, and right now I'd say probably a good thing, general AI is a hypothetical. However, like I said, it's a key type of the next kind of, once we essentially outgrow narrow AI, we're going to get to general AI. Then after this, super AI is also hypothetical for the time being, but narrow AI is not. And that leads us very nicely to the next topic of there's two available types of AI right now on the market, of which they're both subsectors of narrow AI. But then more importantly, this is the more kind of common terminology you may have seen across the various elements of the internet or just in general, right? The two main pillars are, number one, predictive AI, right? Where we go ahead, we analyze historical data to make predictions about future outcomes. Okay, so we go ahead, we give it the various kind of smart algorithms, and from this is able to go ahead, use and identify patterns, the various relationship and trends within the data set that we give it, but then more importantly, forecast what's likely to happen next, right? Predictive AI, once again, it's in the word. We're using AI from a predictive aspect to say what could potentially happen, right? But then more importantly, the next kind of pillar that essentially became mainstream in 2022. And now kind of when we think of AI, we think straight away of this one pillar itself, right? Of generative AI. Where generative AI, specifically, like I said, it's in the name, generative AI, it generates new things, meaning it creates new data or content that resemble patterns in its training data. It's still being trained the same way that we saw in AI product, right? But then more importantly, it can use this, and from the algorithms, it can go ahead and actually kind of generate new stuff similar to the training data, right? So it doesn't predict outcomes like predictive data alone. It can actually go ahead and generate brand new text for us, music, images, even code, right? Now, when it comes to these two pillars, right, there's some very easy ways to remember exactly how these pillars are and what they are. Of which, the best way that I think of predictive AI is think of it like a crystal ball, right? Where it's a crystal ball powered by data, algorithms, aka math, but then more importantly, a great kind of just say very human example, right? If you've been late to class every Monday for the past 4 weeks, right, it would likely predict you're going to be late again, right? We've all seen it with our friends of make sure you tell him to come 15 minutes early and he's always late, right? We're basically applying elements of predictive data that we haven't kind of programmed it in the math-like perspective, but we're doing it ourselves. The same way we teach AI to do that, right? It goes ahead and says, okay, if you've been late, chances are 4 out of 5 times, the probability is you're going to be late again. That's predictive AI. It doesn't know why you're late. It simply goes ahead, it sees the pattern in the data, and then predicts a likely outcome. This is why exactly with all these kind of like events and like sporting events, for example, right? People make the predictions, but it doesn't always come true. Why? Because it's seeing the pattern. It's saying this is a likely scenario It's not guaranteeing this may be the exact thing, right? Now, generative AI, the best way to think about it is a painter, a very kind of cool painter where it's a creative artist trained by examples of data. So, for example, if you showed it 1,000 paintings of your favorite artist, it could go ahead and generate a new painting that looks like it fits that collection, right? It's not copying, it's simply using everything that it's learned, but then more importantly, it's generating something new based on the patterns that it has actually learned itself, right? So that's the kind of two main differences. Predictive AI is that crystal ball. Generative AI is that artist, where if you teach that artist with enough data, it can go ahead and kind of give you exactly what kind of things you're looking for, whether that be text, images, code, music, various stuff, right? Predictive, a bit more like I said on the prediction side. Generative, it actually makes brand new stuff. Now, with all of this being said, then the next part, how do we go ahead and actually use this AI? So we know, for example, how AI is developed. We know, for example, now there's kind of three main pillars of AI, but then more importantly, one actual sub pillar, which has two main components, predictive and generative. AI, the way we use it is the same way. We feed it data now. This is once again how we use the AI products now. We feed it data, whether that be images, text, audio, right? More importantly, then the algorithms, they're going to process it. They're going to do its kind of magic behind the scenes. They analyze, interpret the input that we give it, right? In the form of data. The learning itself, now this is where kind of the machine learning algorithms, it adjusts and makes sure kind of their various algorithms are applied based on the training data, feedback, all this other stuff. But then more importantly then, with all of this, then it generates an output. That's the power of AI. It goes ahead and generates then your response, prediction, or action, right? It could be a recommendation, a decision, insight, but that's essentially how we use AI. And we're going to see this hands-on in the next video with me doing this with Gen AI itself, right? But then, more importantly then, let's actually go ahead and look at a real life example of this, of which it's a very kind of open scenario, selling concerts tickets using AI. And the first thing we're going to look at is, more importantly, life before AI, right? Let's think of how sales were managed by humans without AI, of which let's really kind of break down this manual process. So we have different sales teams. They would go ahead, send various emails to everyone on their mailing list, right? Regardless, firstly, of if I'm interested in the actual artist performing or if I've actually gone to a concert before as well, right? It goes ahead, does that. What they did, right? The non-AI approach, we've gone ahead and kind of segmented audiences very broadly of maybe just based off location. Maybe it's based on the city you live. Maybe just based on the age group. And we use this, why it's the easiest way to target our promotions itself. Okay, but then more importantly, if say, for example, we hadn't bought the ticket, the follow-ups are very generic. It's just kind of your standard email, what you get. Don't miss out, please buy this, right? We don't as a human feel very empowered by this. Okay? And then all of this leads to kind of three main consequences or disadvantages during this whole manual process, right? First and foremost, right? Low conversion rates, right? How often have you signed up for something, but you just weren't interested because it wasn't personalized enough, right? And you ignored all the promotional emails, right? All of this being said as well, keep in mind, you ignored it. The sales team that didn't use it, they probably spent hours sifting through these customer lists and sending follow-ups, kind of the same follow-up over and over again, because that's what they were essentially tasked to do, right? All of this leads to kind of two main things. Firstly, you don't buy the ticket, right? Because you don't necessarily care because they haven't looked at what you're interested in. You may be getting emails for a Taylor Swift concert if you like 50 Cent, right? So the buying behavior hasn't been tracked. However, you might not be a concert goer, yet they're still sending you emails. At that point, what happens? You report as spam, right? So based on your buying behavior, you want to target those that have actually gone to actual concerts itself, right? So missed opportunities. You have high value customers, aka fans of the actual artists, that weren't prioritized and kind of given the right touch point follow-ups because they weren't identified. Now, let's look at this whole piece as well and look at how essentially AI can make all of this become a lot more smarter. Where? How AI works. So say, for example, we have the same scenario. We're trying to sell concert tickets using AI. But more importantly, we utilize the data sets that we have to track all the various historical ticket sales, right? But more importantly, then we use AI to actually delve into this. We analyze all these ticket sales. We analyze the browsing data. as well as the social media activity to identify patterns that of each potential consumer, right? Then more importantly, from here, we can actually predict which customers are most likely to buy tickets based on kind of maybe even three of the following variables. Firstly, have they attended similar concerts, right? Have they previously bought in the past with us? Secondly, these various links we may send them, right? We've all done it. We're interested in kind of emails, so we get kind of the promotional email. From these emails that we send the customers, these marketing emails, who actually engages with them, right? Who actually goes ahead, clicks on the email links or follows the artist on social media, replies on social media to various stuff that we send out, right? But then more importantly, from a demographic perspective, there's no point sending someone a Taylor Swift concert that's in America if they're based in India, right? It just doesn't make sense. So the age and location, we can actually kind of segment based on this as well, using the power of AI to make sure our hit rate is a lot more optimal. Now, let's look at how kind of AI can improve all of this. Predictive AI. First and foremost, right? AI scored customers on their likelihood to buy the tickets. So say we have the example customer, John Smith. He goes ahead, he opens the email, right? He clicks on the artist's website, and as well as he lives near the concert venue. We're using all of these variables are able to kind of factor in and know historically that he probably has an 80% chance of purchasing, right? He's a very good customer to even target. Maybe he won't buy on the first attempt. If you keep kind of marketing in the right way to him, John Smith is very likely to convert, right? As part of this, we're using predictive AI to kind of make these predictions. But then more importantly, when it's time for us to follow up to John, we can use the power of the generative AI, where one of the key parts why we maybe didn't buy the tickets in the non-AI example is because the emails that were sent to us, but the exact same for everyone. But me as John, I want to feel empowered. I want to feel as if you're talking simply to me itself, right? So you've got that personalized follow-up email created for the customer itself. So, hi John, we noticed you're a fan of the following artist, right? Tickets are selling fast for this concert. Grab yours right now. Here's a discount code because you live in the same area, right? So even more easier for you, okay? And there we can use generative AI to essentially create that email lightning speed for us, right? And now we're seeing that kind of whole example of how sales itself is becoming smarter and increasing the likelihood of your customers to convert simply by using AI as part of this whole picture. Now, what's the kind of key advantages? First and foremost, all of this probably and likely will lead to higher sales, right? Faster processing tools, because we're cutting away the manual time, right? All the historical data, AI is analyzing that for us. Why? Because it can, right? We've gone ahead and actually made it able to do so. And then finally, all of this basically means is personalized communication. It makes us as customers feel a lot more enriched to the actual business who may be kind of using AI as part of their sales process. Okay? So with that being said, guys, right, this was an end-to-end complete beginner, but let's look at essentially what we've gone ahead and recapped as part of this whole piece, right? You firstly learn what is AI, right? Where simply put, it's the simulation of human intelligence within machines, right? But then more importantly, the four key features of AI, right? Perception, learning, reasoning, as well as adaptability, right? We learned how AI products are developed in general, how all AI products, right? Data, algorithms, as well as automation, right? These three components are omnipresent in everything. But then more importantly, from here, what are the three main types of AI, right? We have narrow AI, we have general AI, and super AI, of which only one is real, which is narrow AI. And from here, we have the predictive and the generative side, right? We actually kind of looked into this, the actually available AI, and then saw this in use. What actually is predictive AI? What is generative AI? But then more importantly, then made it all come to life using a real life example of life without AI and how life is kind of made a lot more optimal with AI. But then with all of this being said, guys, it was meant to kind of give you that end-to-end view of essentially what AI is, right? And from this end-to-end view, break it down for you in a very simple like manner. All right, guys. So with that, all that being said, guys, one final thing from my end. First and foremost, right? Big thank you for being here. I hope you got value from this video itself. The one thing I will ask of you is if you did like this video and found it useful, please do like, share, and subscribe. Please do share it with someone that also wants to learn about AI, whether they're a beginner or just curious. If you think this will be useful, But more importantly, if you guys want to connect with me itself, I'm here, like I said, to help you accelerate your career learnings itself. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Once again, like I said, do subscribe on YouTube, but more importantly as well, ping me a connection on LinkedIn. Tell me what you liked. Leave a comment. Do all that cool stuff, right? But big thank you, guys. I hope today, by the end of this, you started maybe without any knowledge of AI, or at least somewhat some knowledge. And by the end of it, you were able to know exactly what AI is and breaking it down into a very human-like concept. Awesome, guys. Speak to you soon. Until the next video. Goodbye.